Welcome to the Moxstars podcast. Thank you so much for listening. This is one of your hosts, Evan Kunai, and I am here with Christopher Ritter.
That is the most subdued introduction you have ever done.
You know, I thought it was a nice change of pace, that maybe I was setting the energy bar too high, but now...
No, I mean, I'm fine with it.
Now we have
I'm chilling.
Yeah.
I'm chilling.
Whew.
Hard chilling.
We have the opportunity to build on what we've started with here. This is we're climbing the mountain today. Oh yeah. This is the #1 podcast on the internet for Magic the Gathering and Dr. Pepper.
Love that cool, crispy Dr. Pepper.
Oh, yeah. If you'd like to support the show, you can do so by finding us on YouTube. You're watching us on YouTube right now. You can see our YouTube homepage where we have 132 subscribers. Thank you so much, everyone, for your support. You can also support us on all major podcasting platforms. And in the description of every single episode, you can find our link tree, which will have a link to every single social media platform that we have. Feel free to go there, join our Discord server, join our Instagram, follow us right now. We're doing giveaways where if you follow us on Instagram, you'll gain entries, doing a couple other things. And then you can find us on Spotify, blah, 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 this and that, this and that, this and that. And if you'd like to support the show even further, you can do so by finding us on Patreon, where you can become a supporter for $3 a month here with a Pepperhead tier. You will gain access to a couple private channels in the Discord server. Or you can become a cherry vanilla Pepperhead by supporting us in joining the cherry vanilla Pepperhead tier, like UWP Quartz. You will get a shout out at the top of each episode. So thank you so much, UWB Quirt, for supporting us. You rock. You are awesome. And not only...
I know you're thanking them for being in that higher tier on the Patreon, but the energy level just got really aggressive.
Ooh, I'm gonna
compared to everything else we've been doing.
Well, I'm
scaled back.
I'm gonna talk a little slower and a little smoother. All right. Here we go. Patreon. If you join the Patreon, you will also gain entry into every single giveaway that we're doing. We're doing a giveaway every 2 weeks. And if you are a Pepperhead, you'll gain 1 automatic entry. If you are a Cherry Vanilla Pepperhead, you will gain 2 entries automatically. And the giveaway amount will be... it'll be rough. It'll be right around the amount that is contributed to us on Patreon. So and we're going to do one every 2 weeks. So everything that is contributed, we're going to turn around and we'll give it right back to the community in any way that we can. So hopefully you guys want to get involved with that. Appreciate your support. And Ritter, anything to add to that? You super stoked about the giveaways?
I am so stoked that our listeners are going to be getting some exclusive, not exclusive Magic the Gathering cards. How would they be exclusive? Are you making Magic the Gathering cards?
I am, but I'm not telling anybody. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're...
Gotcha.
Some have been generated by an AI artist named Death Milk Designs. Tokens that are on their way.
Oh,
soon.
There we go.
Soon. We're going to get them soon.
Is that soon? So soon. Like,
yeah.
you can feel the tokens in your hand.
It is coming with one of our future giveaways in the next, I'd say, like, definitely within the next month or two. We're going to have tokens as a part of that. And then we'll add an additional Patreon tier to facilitate getting them out in a more regular fashion. So also, if you'll note, in the Cherry Vanilla Pepperhead tier, there are only 15 slots. So there are only so many people who are going to be able to get the 2 additional free entries. All right. Let's roll right into today's topic. Today, we are talking about getting into cEDH in 2024. Now, the game has changed a lot in the last 18 months since we started doing this podcast, since we started dabbling and joining a lot of like different cEDH communities and starting to play more and more. And last week, we talked briefly on mid-range hell or heaven, however you perceive it. And that has sort of inspired me to sort of like take this opportunity to promote cEDH to new players or to people who are curious about it, and just how it has changed over time, and maybe like answer some of those questions and expectations or what it takes to be a cEDH player. So big conversation that we're going to sort of condense down into a few key points so that you, the new curious, or if you're listening to us and you are an experienced cEDH player, I'd appreciate your feedback on YouTube or in the Discord server, and let's have those conversations so that we can help create a more realistic image and expectation for new players getting into this community. So right away, Ritter, I wanted to like bring up the fact that the pace of the game has changed so much over the past 18 months. Whether it be from so many new sets hitting the market, new cards, experimentation, so many new things have come onto the scene that have sort of given the format this like fresh breath of air. And it's allowed more decks, new diverse builds to be competitive and to actually post results. So with the pace of the game changing, we ultimately had the discussion last week about whether it is mid-range heaven or mid-range hell. And I think for new players, what we're looking at is mid-range heaven, because it's going to allow you as a new player to come into the game and take what you're comfortable with and play with it and learn at a pace that is your own. Where prior, I think there were already a lot of established decks that sort of were intimidating, like you had to play Blue Farm or you had to play Sisse or Nagila in order to compete, or 5-color good stuff. That requires a lot of experience in seeing how the game plays out, understanding the stack and whatnot. So now you're able to bring things like the Wise Mothman, you know, and
I mean that's the benefit of mid-range, right? You get more game per game. Like instead of it being over in a couple turns or really only, blue interaction heavy decks being viable, you now get to see more of the game, and because there's more paths to winning being explored at the table.
Yeah, there are cards that had sort of fallen out of the meta, were not being played anymore, but are now seeing more play than ever because of how the pace has changed. So things like Smothering Tithe were questionable. They were fringe cards for a while because, well, it was 4 mana for such a heavy investment when a lot of decks were taking that 4 mana and creating hyper-efficient paths to winning the game. But now that we're exploring new avenues and the pace has changed, Smothering Tithe has the ability to come down on like sometimes turn 1. There is that potential, but then it also comes down on turn 2 or 3, and it is so impactful to the outcome of the game. And a lot of people don't react to it. It's 4 mana, and a lot of people would rather react to a win condition than they would Smothering Tithe. So it's something that sort of like flies under the radar. Same with like Shieldred. I think that Shieldred doesn't inherently say that you're going to win the game, but it's still a worthy investment as a player to land it, to have that piece on the board contributing to the overall outcome.
I think Shieldred strongly implies that you're going to win the game, even if it doesn't say it on the card.
Yeah, it's going to imply that you intend to draw many cards.
Yeah.
Or,
there's a dangerous implication, at least.
Yeah, I think that's just, I still can't believe how powerful that card is. My first impression was like, it's not that good, right?
Well, you know what? When that card was printed, you still had that. You weren't in the mid-range mindset.
Right.
You saw four CMC, and you didn't see the words "win the game," and how good could it be at that point, right?
Yeah, yeah, and it just
By the way,
how
I just coined the term mid-range mindset. I think that has legs.
we should establish that. That is actually this is the Moxstars podcast, the home of the mid-range mindset. That sounded cool.
We're on that mid-range mindset, you know?
Oh, I did learn something this past week about one of the decks that I play that contributes to mid-range mindsets. You know the Millennium Calendar? Like that card from Lost Caverns of Ixalan?
Yeah,
really
yeah.
cool
When you
card.
get 1,000 counters on there, you win the game, or 10-24 or something of that nature. Right?
Yeah, each opponent loses 1,000 life. So
yeah,
it's kind of nutty. But here's the thing. Zacama, when you start the loop, untaps a lot of permanents infinitely. So
well, you just found another avenue for Zacama, haven't you?
Yeah, crazy.
Does it? Can you just slot that in, or do you need other supporting cards around it to really make it viable?
Well, all you need is an Urza Saga, really. You know, it's like you can play that and then pull the Millennium Calendar out and just sort of like, and then still work towards your advantage. I think that I'm going to work less.
But but what I'm saying is, like, you don't have to build around it. Like, it's just an additional win con that you can drop something else out for.
Exactly. Yeah. And
okay. And that's something you've had trouble doing, is like closing out the game with that loop.
Right.
You know, that turn.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like Den of the Bugbear is obviously great. I think that like it's a cool win con later in the game. And then also been playing Shivan Gorge, which also was a combo will win the game. But this is just a card that sort of like fits in there when you're pursuing Food Chain in Naya. Excuse me. Dr. Pepper makes me burp sometimes. I think when you're pursuing Food Chain in Naya, if you're not playing Rocco, it is far more difficult, and you do have to be able to stretch the game into turn like 6 or 7 to give yourself a realistic shot at winning. And, you know, with something so low to the ground, like the Millennium Calendar, that can be fetched up with an Urza Saga when I'm playing an Enchantress build, is something that I'm really excited for, to see if that pays off. And
I don't have the card in front of me. Is it doing anything up until the point where it wins you the game?
Absolutely not.
Oh, okay. let me look at the card.
Yeah. Here, let me see if I can find it quick.
Yeah, it doesn't do anything outside of itself. Like this, the Millennium Calendar only builds towards its ultimate. Okay.
Yep. So it does win you the game, but this is where I think the conversation continues as far as like mid-range and playing something that you're comfortable with and getting into cEDH, where if you'd built Zacama and you understand that there are combos and there are things that lead up to it, like I think that even shows like Play to Win have done a great job at sprinkling a little bit more flavor into their episodes and their gameplay, because they've posted probably thousands of gameplay episodes up into this point, or maybe 1,000, and they've been able to keep it interesting and like in the way that they produce content. And now I saw,
you know what,
go ahead.
I can give a local flavoring to that. Like what about Kenrith? Like, that should be a 5-color pile that's solved, but your boy Atlas, he's got some flavor in there too.
Well, there's a million different ways to win with Kenrith that, it does everything on the face of it. So what aspect of Kenrith do you want to magnify is like where
can Kenrith win with the Millennium Calendar?
That is a good question. I doubt it, because you're not untapping a ton of permanents, right?
Okay. Trash commander.
Yep.
Forget it.
Trash commander for the Millennium Calendar has multitudes of purpose outside of that. But yes, for as far as Kenrith goes, not a Millennium Calendar commander. So
is Zacama the only Millennium Calendar commander?
I think that, like, on first impressions, yes. I don't think there are
Okay.
really any other.
Are we the first person to ever have the discussion, who is the Millennium Calendar commander?
We might be. That's welcome to the Moxstars podcast, home of the novel Millennium Calendar Commander thing. Yeah, there we go. That sounded good
If this
too.
blows up the competitive scene, you heard it here first.
You did. And I want everyone to relay themselves back to this episode. For that reason, we have blown the game up. Millennium Calendar breaks it all. Well, if you're playing, I think you could play like, if you're planning to win through things like Mesmeric Orb, or like playing to mill yourself out through Mesmeric Orb, because Basalt Monolith, Mesmeric Orb, and then Millennium Calendar would win the game. So it depends if you're heavy artifact, maybe Urza wants something like that. If you're going for those lines, tons of stacks, and then all of a sudden you're just like untapping tons of things and pushing all of your mana into doubling the number of counters on Millennium Calendar and turboing that way, maybe that works.
You know what? It's worth exploring.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, in this...
Did we just take a hard pivot into a Millennium Calendar discussion?
Yeah, but I think it helps like establish our argument even more that like as a player, if you are creative in how you want to win the game, play the Millennium Calendar, like explore a card that you think has potential and then try to magnify that strategy and what you like to play. And where I was going with the play to win thing is that they're asking the question of like, is cEDH good enough in cEDH? And the showing that they had in gameplay was sure as hell looks like it. So it makes you wonder, like with all the new cards coming in, with how much the power and speed of the game has been pushed forward. But that being said, that it has been pushed forward, but now competitive players,
it's been pushed forward, but the push is not evenly distributed. Like, because of you're looking at cards from the game's entire history, like, because of unique wordings and things like that, that's how it actually changes the cEDH landscape.
Yeah, there's a lot of criticism for like the development of the game that a lot of sets contribute more to Commander than they do like other formats. I think that right now, like you said, it's not even because like it is an eternal format and there's so much that one card releasing can do to affect the multiverse of cards, everything that has ever existed.
We were talking about Sheoldred. That's the exact thing where like, Sheoldred obviously is showing an effect in multiple formats, but it doesn't, the Sheoldred effect combined with maybe Talion, like
also another really great mid-range
it
card commander,
the mid-range effect.
Yeah,
like
that
it just pushes it into that way.
Yeah, they're
the pervasiveness of it,
Yeah, they've created far more value in the 4 to 6 range than ever before. And that has gone a long way to changing how people are approaching the game. And we're still in this like adjustment period. So and this is why I think is a great episode to be talking about, is because right now as a new player, if you have been experiencing this mid-range heaven hell thing, even at the casual table, I feel like mid-range has been a problem where players feel like the game is moving too fast. Well, maybe you're ready to take your talents to Miami, or you're ready to take your talents to the cEDH table, because it is... Did you get that LeBron reference right there?
Oh, that was LeBron. I was searching in my mind. I was like, this is a movie reference. Where are we going?
Well, if you're ready
I knew you were making a reference. Give me credit for that.
Yeah. No, it was a big thing in 2008. For sure. Wait, a long time ago. But I think that this has sort of raised a lot of questions, since we're all still in that adjustment period, about what can you play at the table, at a cEDH table. I think that there's enough patience in players because they're also experiencing the change in the format. There's a lot of experienced players who are going to take advantage of newer players, or take advantage of players who are exploring new avenues. But there is a lot more viability in fringe cEDH decks than there ever has been before, just due to the like you said, the how investments have been warped. Like, how do you invest your mana, and what plays do you make? And like before, I don't think Talion's good enough to be played in the 99. If anything, that includes that color, like those colors.
Yes. Yep.
And I think that we're right there with Shieldred. And before,
I can't think of a black deck that would not want to run Shieldred.
Right. It punishes the One Ring. Because name decks that include black and blue that aren't running Shieldred, Talion, and the One Ring.
Well, there's another one. The One Ring is another thing contributing to the mid-range effect, right?
These are all 4 mana cards, that require either 1 to 2 turns of setup, of full commitment. If you're playing this in the early game, is a full commitment to get that onto the board. Mm-hmm. So often, will usually cost you 2 to 3 cards, including the card itself. So you're going to spend half your hand early in the game to play that card, is sort of my understanding of these mid-range value engines. And that's why Talion is so good, is because you can contribute 3 or 4 cards from your opening hand to put Talion down, and then sit there and reap the benefits, draw a ton of cards, and then milk your opponents of their life total. So coining that as well. The Moxstars
Are we going
podcast.
Back to milking?
Yes, absolutely. The Moxstars podcast, home of milking. Full stop. Period.
Just home of milking. Oh boy, our SEO is going to be wild after this episode.
Yeah, I'm going to make sure that we get the captions generated. That way, when people search for milking, they can find us. All right. Now that we've sort of talked about mid-range options and commanders that you can take to a table to compete, I think that there is still plenty of value as a new player to dabble in older strategies, because not only are they incredibly consistent and incredibly potent, but they're still viable. There's while there is all this mystery in establishing what the format looks like moving forward, there are decks that are undeniably good. Let's say Blue Farm.
It's also worth exploring them too, because if a deck is out of favor right now, it's because of the rock, paper, scissors aspect of the meta.
Yes.
And maybe it was pushed out of people's minds in a previous meta, and now we're in a meta where all of a sudden, this is slept on, but this is an established strategy that you can build off of.
Right. And so there are a few resources, if you're a new player getting into it, that are going to help you get to that next level or give you a head start. Instead of just jumping into the deep end and figuring out where you're going, you can jump in. There's a few resources like EDH Top 16. We've talked about this plenty of times, or referred to it on the podcast plenty of times. But what this is compiled statistics. It takes the results of every tournament that is using, I think it's the Command Fest thing. Anyway, they're using all these, any tournament that is using this program is contributing this data to what you see here. And it's showing you what the top, you can keep scrolling down, top, say 153 decks are, plus some in cEDH, just based on entries, top 16s, and the conversion rates. And it'll show you the colors. You can go up here and fudge with the filters a little bit. And then if there's a deck that you like or you're curious about, you really want to build that new Duskana, the bear 2/2 deck, food chain, draw your entire library deck, you can look that up in the search bar, and it'll show you every single player who's entered a tournament using this program and give you their deck list so you can see what other players are doing. So while we have said that Kenrith is a incredibly diverse deck, you can go through and you can see all these names of players, and Adam Bork, who is hopefully a friend of the podcast. Hi, Adam, if you're listening. Player down at Gabby's has submitted his list over and over again. It is tried and true and is incredibly consistent, and you can see all the different nuances in Adam's style versus gosh. Atlas is right here. Whoa, you can see the difference between Adam's and Atlas's decks at this particular point in time. That's also what it's going to be able to do for you as a resource, is to say, oh, hey, this is a tournament when, like the time frame at when this was, when this did, placed here at the first, second, third, or whatever. So you can actually sort of keep tabs. You can mess with the tournament date and see how the meta has grown over the past 6 months. Maybe you want to look at the past year. Maybe you want to look at the past 2 weeks. You can see what's more effective more recently, or you can go back and see what was working and why those things don't work now. So it's an incredible resource. Whoever put this together, you are a saint. You are doing so much to help grow the community. And not only that, but you're giving players recognition for their placing and for their efforts by sort of giving them credit for their builds, for their lists. So this is a wonderful resource. We've used it plenty of times. And like I said, it's probably my favorite resource to use if I'm looking for decks. I was looking for Kestia at one point, thinking that, man, that deck's going to rock someday. And I'm hitting enter. I swear to God, there are no results for Kestia at all. So I have no frame of reference to go from. In which case, if I'm trying to build this incredibly unique deck, this is a resource a lot of people won't suggest you use, but I do. You can always check out EDH Rec. This is a site that has received a lot of criticism for sometimes being inaccurate or, being kind of annoying. Sometimes that little video pops up in the bottom corner and you can't turn it off. And those guys, the way they approach, how they talk to you, sometimes super annoying. Yeah, this website, that website. But there are things that it does. What it does is it scrapes data from all these different databases. Wherever you build a deck, EDH Rec is scraping that data to be able to put into their database. So let's see Voja here. I'm building a Voja deck, but I don't quite know. I know all of my Naya lines where I want to go with everything, but there might be something obvious that I'm missing. So this is a great resource to use to know, hey, I've built the deck. There's something, it feels like it's missing. I just don't have quite the efficiency that I'm looking for. This has helped me sort out so many deficiencies or other things that I might have been missing from my list and before looking here. So if you're building a new commander, excuse me, Dr. Pepper makes me burp sometimes. If you're looking to build a new commander that doesn't quite have results posted yet, EDH Rec, with your current knowledge of how cEDH works, or how you interpret cEDH, is going to help you just not miss the obvious things. And that's why I still prefer, or I still will recommend it as a resource. It is my last resort, but it is still something that you can fall back on to see if you're missing something.
Well, I mean, more information is always better, and then you just have to apply your brain and evaluate sources of information. For me, when I'm building a deck, I like to look at both. If I'm looking to build a commander, I will look at every commander that's on EDH Top 16, and then I'll supplement that by looking at that commander and similar commanders on EDH Rec, just to get the most amount of information. And a lot of times the EDH Rec stuff, it'll land you 10 cards you haven't thought about, and then maybe 1 or 2 of those ultimately makes the cut in the 99.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm just going to be honest. While I was just searching for Zakama on EDH Rec and, see if there was something obvious that I was missing in the utility artifacts section, and they don't have the Millennium Calendar. So I think we're really onto something.
Well, we might be onto something. And one day, God willing, someone will be browsing EDH Top 16 and see the Millennium Calendar in your Zakama list.
Woo! Yeah, no, they'll see it. They'll see it, and they'll be like, "Whoa, how'd that Zakama get to top 16? How'd it place, at the top table? It didn't quite take the crown, but this guy's still growing. He's still developing as a player. Eventually, he'll get there. And what really made the difference? Man, no one seems to recognize that Millennium Calendar is his win condition, and it just comes out of nowhere.
Boom.
Boom. Yeah,
Got him.
Freaking got him. Seems like Atali's a good fit for Zakama, though. I like that. Yeah, so this is another resource that you can use. Obviously, it's missing crucial elements to Zakama, but most other decks, you are going to see the obvious strategies because as it's pulling from MTG Goldfish, or build your deck on Moxfield, you build your deck on Architect. Whatever it is, that data is here and is telling you that in all of the Zakama builds ever, 38% of them are now running Lush Portico that surveil forest plains. So things like that, like even the Archdruid's Charm, it searches for any land in your library and puts it on the battlefield. There is one land in the deck that combos with Zakama if you can generate enough mana. So seems pretty good in that build. So 32%. Well, it says only 32% of 98 decks. I doubt there are only 98 decks made by Zakama. Wow. Only 3,882 Zakama decks. Crazy. Feels like there should be more. Such a good card. All right. There's another resource.
Someone's preference for his pet commander is showing in this moment.
Maybe a little bit. All right.
Can I add a third recommendation here?
Yeah, what's up?
Beyond EDH top 16, EDH rec. Once you have a commander in mind, or even oftentimes a color pairing in mind, you can go on Reddit and use Reddit to find the Discord for this commander and for that color combination. And that's going to give you even more options in terms of deck lists. And that's going to give you real-time data too on what people are playing with that commander.
Yeah. And not only that, you're searching through community threads, conversations that are happening.
Yep.
Watching
people's thought processes of hey, maybe a couple months ago, people had a conversation in the Zakama Discord about Millennium Calendar and play tested it and ultimately decided that it was trash. And you can go do that instead of, playing a bunch of games with it and coming to the same conclusion yourself.
Yeah,
if you wanted to.
Yeah, there's this. God, I can't really think. It's from Fallout, but there's this stag out there. It's like a mutated stag. It has evolve, and there was it says whenever this creature evolves, create a token copy of it. And so there was a conversation just today about this card, it's 3 mana. How does it fit into cEDH? It is just screaming to be broken. And so if you're curious about that and using that in a strategy, that is the type of thing you can look for. You can look for specific cards and people be like, is this good enough in cEDH? And you will get probably a few hundred people put eyes on that and give you their input. So yeah, it is great to sort of probe the community and say what is working, and they'll tell you, and what is not working, and they'll definitely tell you what's not working. So they're very vocal, and they're very they try to be as helpful as possible. I think that's what you get into when you get into cEDH, is you're getting into a community that is focused on the best possible outcome for not only themselves but for you, because when it comes down to how a game unfolds, it is how all players contribute to the game. And if everyone contributes to the game fully, the outcome of the game feels justified. So where if, there's only someone who goes hellbent, doesn't play, plays up to turn 2 or 3, and then is hellbent and is out of the game, we don't like to see that. Unless, if they win the game, great, they did it, they shot their shot. But then you have 2 other players, policing situations where you could have had a 3rd player contributing to the whole dance. The other resource that I was going to say, which is I would say a while ago I would have said this is aged or this is dated, but the competitive EDH decklist database for new players is a great resource to see what is tried and true, because these decks have to go, like, they go through a rigorous like amount of testing before they even land on this database here. So you can scroll down and they have everything sorted by color in the left-hand column here. And then you'll note at the end of each one, you'll see a couple of icons. You can see the list here, and then there is a Discord server attached to nearly every single deck list, or every single every single deck here. So there are communities that are like completely devoted to these particular like strategies. So like, let's say Malcolm Val Smasher Turbo Naws. There's like they put it in the farm server, the blue farm server, but there is a platform or probably a channel within that server that is exclusively devoted to this strategy. So it is something that is constantly being updated as we see more and more decks become viable in cEDH. So Dargo Sidar, another deck that is pretty new on the scene. They don't have a list or a Discord server, but it has proven enough and posted enough results to make its way onto this list. So there, as you can see, goes down quite a ways. And there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different Kenrith builds that are tried and true. So if you're into Kenrith, you want to play that type of deck, have it. This is a field day for you. You can do a lot of research here on this platform. Anything to contribute? Any more resources that you have to contribute to the cause, Ritter?
You know what? This is a little more hard to quantify, but if you go to a local shop and you actually play in a community of like other Magic players, be friendly and outgoing, and or whatever, and just like talk to the other players and ask for constructive criticism. Like, if you're a good dude and you're talking to other good dudes, a lot of Magic players will be happy to help you build a better deck.
Totally. They're gonna offer their perspective and their style to help you become a better player. And
now if you ask someone for constructive criticism and they just tell you your commander's trash and play a different commander, you can ignore their advice. Yeah. But there are people out there who will give you sincere advice.
Yeah, and they'll say like, what are the conditions that you want to like see unfold? And like, they're not going to say directly like, play a different commander because this is more efficient, this is just more proven. They're going to be like, well, you really want to play this commander, so I'm going to give you the options to help make this better, and then expand on this as much as possible. And once we've got it to its peak, then we'll revisit the question of like, is there a different commander that would, better fit your style or better fit or give you better results? So that's the type of feedback that you're looking for. And just being open to other players in the community is going to go a long way to finding the community that you best belong to. Because it's insane to think that, you're going to connect with every single human on the planet. Approaching life that way can be maddening. So be open, be honest, and obviously and just be your true self with anything that you do. But in cEDH, you're gonna find that you're gonna have far more success if when someone comes to you with advice, give them your open and honest feedback, and read the room a little bit. Obviously, approach situations differently. Not every situation's the same. This sort of like ties into the next set of bullet points that I had and I wanted to talk about, and it is the most important aspects of being a cEDH player, and how we can help new players sort of like grasp the concepts a little more firmly. Like grasp it firmly. SpongeBob, Squidward, just jellyfish net.
Oh, I knew you were making a reference. I'm very good at that.
Yeah.
You're making references.
All right. Yeah. So communication, obviously the one that we started with, and the biggest thing that contributes to your overall success at the table. Because as the game develops, as you play the game, you're going to find that if you're just being perceptive, you're not going to get very far. But if you're communicating and you're offering your perception to the others that are competing with you at the table, what that's going to create is a healthier atmosphere for all players to be able to handle any situation in the, maybe in your best interest, but it does go a long way to creating a game state that gives you an equal opportunity to win. The big thing that I would say is that when you get to a tournament, or if you get knocked out and you have a chance to like stick around and observe, I would go watch the top 16. And then if you can stick around and watch the final table, I would sit and watch that as well, and just notice how much talking happens compared to how much playing happens. While people are very concise and decisive with their plays, there is so much more conversation about how do we want to handle this? How do we want to move forward? What is this a threat? Do we want to interact with this? Like, that is happening at all times, and experienced players, it's happening a mile a minute. So it really is something to behold and something to absorb and model yourself after. Some players are not as good at it, so obviously pick your role models carefully. But it is the best way to approach the game is when you're in it, to speak about what's happening at the table, to give yourself the most information, to give yourself the best chance of winning the game. Yeah. Anything to add on communication, Ritter?
No. I have nothing to communicate on communication.
Nice.
We communicated it.
We communicated that thoroughly.
You were just so effective at communicating the point that I have nothing more to add.
I love that. Thank you.
Let Evan be a lesson to all of you listeners out there, you viewers on YouTube. This is the man you want to model yourself on.
Brushing the dirt off my shoulders right now. And I'm blushing. I'm thank you. That is an incredible compliment, Ritter. The next thing that I want to bring to light, or that I don't think every cEDH player is going to agree with me on this, or they're going to sort of support this notion, but cEDH isn't. It is a set of expectations, and this is where, like, it differs from like a casual table, where at a casual table there is rule zero talk. There, like, what do we expect to happen? What power level are we playing? Here, there is none of that. Like, and it's for your benefit as a player. So the expectations are preset, that you're coming in and you are attempting to win the game as quickly and as effective and efficiently as possible. So there are times, like, there are things, obviously mistakes you can king make on accident. You're going to learn those lessons over time. But more than anything, in order to be a cEDH player, it is the mentality that you bring to the table that is what separates you from the casual scene. So what I mean is, if you intend to win and you take all of your knowledge and all of your experiences and like use those and push those towards victory, you are a cEDH player. In that regard, it does not matter what deck you have in your hand, like, in my opinion. So there have been times I've seen a precon make the right play at the right time and completely trounce cEDH decks. Sometimes they just have the answer at the right moment and make the right play at the right time. That is game knowledge. That is game experience, and everything that they've experienced as a player and their mentality and their attitude in competing, like towards competition, has allowed them to get to that point in the game, has allowed them to take that action and set themselves up for the best possible opportunity to win. So while all these decks and all these resources that I've given you that are available to you, the most important thing is something that we can't quite instill, but we can acknowledge, and that is the mentality in pursuing this endeavor. because one other thing that it takes to be a good cEDH player is commitment. You need devotion. You need to get a ton of reps. You need to be at the table consistently because of how quickly the game changes. You need to be at the table consistently enough to see those changes, to know how to adapt to those changes, to experience those things so that you can adapt to those things, so you can change those slots that are sort of, you know, questionable in your deck. I think everybody has a few where it's like, oh man, this slot, it could be open, you know. It's going to allow you to make a more firm decision on what occupies that slot and give you the best chance to win. So that is those things are things that I cannot stress enough, is that find your winning attitude, find your devotion and commitment, and God, how do I put it? Like, for me, my mentality, I hate to say it, but I'm a golden retriever in mindset. And this is why I play a lot of athletic sports too that involve either a round ball or a, ovular ball, is because as soon as I see that ball go in the air, I'm like, what? I got to chase that thing. And so, like, when it comes down to cEDH and how I pursue it is I see Felwar Stone in the shape of a football, and I get really excited. And I don't know where I'm going with this.
Was that from the Fortnite drop?
It was from the Warhammer Secret Lair drop. Yeah, I don't really know where I'm going with this, but I've always had like this competitive edge that is the way I approach things is with curiosity and with enthusiasm. And so bring that enthusiasm, bring that curiosity to the table, and you'll be able to reap the benefits of those as long as you're able to devote the time and commit yourself to, this format, to competing. Now, there is also a difference, if you're playing cEDH and you're going on Discord servers and you're playing, there's one thing that you probably do want to clarify is whether or not you're playing IRL or you just or comp IRL, or if you're just trying to get reps in. You know, that can sort of like change the tone, how people approach things and how you communicate through things. But find people that you're comfortable playing with and then talk through the plays as they happen, so that, you know, you can either say, I made the mistake, I'm just going to roll with the mistake. But sometimes you'll be like, no, if you actually sequence it this way, they'll help you out and figure that, you know.
Yeah, I mean, that kind of going back to other formats and throughout Magic's competitive history, like, you know, below the line for a lot of like the winners of the Pro Tours and stuff is they were part of a team, a regular team that they got reps in with and would give them like good feedback.
Yeah, and that's what we talked about with Justin, a couple of months back was, like, how has the team that they've formed over at Gabby's in Olympia is just like, that has created this culture of, and created this environment for players who are new or experienced to continue growing. And so, you finding that community that's going to support like your devotion and support, how committed you are, and like help you grow is crucial. Doing it solo is so difficult. And just like in anything, doing anything alone is far more difficult than doing it in a team or with other people. So
if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together, as the old saying goes.
The Moxstars podcast, home of that saying right there.
Not an original coinage, not like mid-range mindset.
Yeah,
we are not. We're not getting money on this one.
No. I think I might change our channel description though to say home of the mid-range mindset.
Ooh, okay.
Like my mom.
I mean, as long as Dr. Pepper is at the forward of our branding, like that's all I care about.
Yeah, I mean that's number one. Mid-range mindset, number two. So, and I was going to say that, it's like it can be a great sales pitch because my mom's diner also has a sales pitch, and they are the home of the bottomless glass of milk. How much milk can you drink?
Bottomless glass of milk.
How much milk can you drink?
That is the most Midwestern thing that you have ever said.
I've seen a guy drink an entire gallon in one sitting. It happened. He didn't throw up either.
Was it our old boss, Chris Barton?
Oh my God.
I love milk.
Dude, I got to direct him. Come down there. Get Barton down to the diner, see how much milk he can drink. Because you get chocolate or white milk. You know, it's up to you.
Oh, that deal includes both chocolate and white milk. That's incredible.
Yeah. Yep. Timothy's Cafe. Check it out if you want as much milk as you can drink in a single sitting. All right. The last thing that I want to touch on, one of the most, if not the most important aspect of being a cEDH player is the culture of respect that goes into joining this community. And I think that one thing you'll pick up on right away is the players' attitudes and the respect they have towards each other as they show up to tournaments, or how, you know, if they know each other, or how they approach the game in general. These are players who wear deodorant at tournaments. They wear belts. They don't have, you know, their ass crack showing at every opportunity. These are players who not only do they respect your game, they respect your space enough to, you know, make sure that this is an environment that you can also be comfortable with. They're considerate. There's just so much that goes into, you know, some people like overlook. I think when I was playing Yu-Gi-Oh, there was a point where they had to ban, or they had to put in the rule book that you had to be hygienic in order to compete at tournaments, or to be able to compete. And there was one point where I knew a guy who would not shower for weeks to give himself a strategic advantage at the table in Yu-Gi-Oh. And that is just insane to me, where he would stink so bad it would mess with the other player's decision-making.
That is truly wild stuff.
That is next level disrespect to not only the people that he's playing against, but to just everyone in the world around them. When you join the cEDH community, it is, I don't know how, it is there. It is there. Whoever set the rules and the guidelines, they're like, you have to shower, you have to put on deodorant, you have to be a totally chill dude, and you have to, if you're not a chill dude, we're going to talk to you about being a chill dude moving forward. That is something that approaching it, giving those players the respect necessary to sit at the table with them, because they're going to give it right back to you. It goes along with the expectations set for the game before it's even, established. I think that, this goes into the politics of the game as well. It's something you're going to have to learn. But as you sit at the table, you're going to realize that the way things are communicated, they're communicated with respect to your experience and respect to who you are as a player. So approach it with an open mind and be open, like you said, open and honest with people in communication. Please wear deodorant. Please wear a belt, and wear appropriate clothing, like to an event. You are going out in public to play a multiplayer game that could result in you winning a few $100s in card value at the end of it. So I guess that's the last thing that I really wanted to invoke onto new players is that there's a mentality to approach. Like there's a mentality necessary to commit yourself to cEDH and to grow as a player. It requires curiosity and it requires enthusiasm. It requires devotion and community building skills. You need to be able to get reps. You need to practice, and requires good communication and a great deal of respect, because it also requires a lot of effort to be good at it. So you'll see that a lot of players are consistently placing near the top. Like even Comedian places consistently high. It's because of their devotion to the game. It's their devotion to the craft. And yeah, that's pretty much all I got to say about that. Oh, let me rephrase that. That's all I got to say about that.
Reference. You were making a reference. I don't know what it was to, but I'm going to Google it when this episode is over, and I'm going to find out.
It's Forrest Gump. All right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I'm completely tapped out, Ritter. I think that's also
a reference to Magic the Gathering.
It is. It is indeed.
I knew that one.
I think that might be a great way to end the episode.
Off the top of my head, I knew it.
when we're like tapped out, you know, like when we're grasping at straws and we're done saying what we need to say, to be like, you know what, man, I'm tapped out on this. You want to move from section?
I think the episode should end as a state-based action.
And how do you mean?
It'll end because, you know, as a state-based action, the episode is ended.
Like it just ends like now.
No.
All right. Now, the moment you've all been waiting for. The announcement of our big giveaway winner. Thank you all for entering and supporting the show. And I want to give a huge shout out to all of our pepperheads out there. We've got Meow Sarita, we've got K Mr. K, we've got Will Rule, we've got Tordeth and Usable Object. Thank you guys so much for being pepperheads and being a part of this community. And we have our Cherry Vanilla Pepperhead UWP Quart. Thank you all. But now, to announce the winner of our giveaway, which includes a Zendikar Rising gift bundle. This person entered twice, once via Patreon and last second via Instagram. Congratulations to Will Rule, the winner of this week's giveaway. The package will be on its way soon, and I'll be in touch. Congratulations again. And thank you all for participating and sharing the show and getting good word out there. I will have more giveaways coming up soon. The next one will be announced next week. And remember that each giveaway is the same rough value as the amount contributed to us on Patreon. So the more people who sign up for Patreon, the larger the giveaway and the more chances you have to win. Thank you so much for supporting the Moxstars podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Have a good one. Bye.